Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Wednesday morning. It is 7:07 on O'Connor and Company, and we are charging through it. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning. Coming up at 7:35, Byron York. He'll give us the latest on Trump's nominees and their visits to Capitol Hill. And at 8:35, Stephen Dinan with the Washington Times. He's covering those mysterious drones that have been sighted over New Jersey. I'm Julie Gunlock, sitting in for the vacationing Larry O'Connor alongside Joe Concha. Good morning, Joe.
I love Guns N' Roses. It never gets old. This song is nearly 40 years old now. It came out in 1986 or 87, I want to say.
Oh, my gosh. I can't believe that.
If you want to feel old.
Yeah, I do feel old every day, Joe, every single day. There is some news out of Trump's family world. Don Jr. appears to have broken it off, or I shouldn't say that. Maybe it was mutual. I don't want to, say who broke off.
Yeah.
These are, you got to be careful here. But the engagement of Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle appears to be off. He is now being photographed around town with a socialite named Bettina Anderson. She's a 37-year-old socialite. She describes herself, this cracked me up. She describes herself as a typical stay-at-home mom without the husband or the children. So I guess if you're very wealthy, you can sort of live that lifestyle without any of those, pesky responsibilities. So, yeah. And in other news, Kimberly Guilfoyle has apparently been named as ambassador to Greece. So, Joe, if your dad could, send your exes or, or have sent my exes out of the country, I mean, what a way to deal with a breakup.
Seriously. Boy, what timing on that. So Don Jr. breaks up with, or Kimberly may have broken up.
Yes, we don't know.
Somehow they break up, but then she is sent off as a consolation prize to be the ambassador to Greece. I mean, that was the job I wanted. I know the president listens. Trump listens to this show. So if Italy's still available, France, right?
I know.
Any other countries? Norway, Austria. I'll take that ambassadorship. But
I just want one with a beach. Yeah, that would be
nice.
Spain
Spain has nice beaches. I'm actually Spanish.
No,
so
I'm just back from Spain. Yes, I'll take Spain.
Where'd you go?
Madrid.
Madrid's very underrated. The park there is awesome, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh, Retiro Park. We walked many hours through Retiro Park.
Good for you.
So this is the way to break up. You break up, and then you get a sweet position in Greece as the ambassador. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I worked with Kimberly over at Fox, and she's a sweetheart. And I'm sure she'll do fine as far as like finding the rebound guy. But if you're Don Jr., see, I don't get this. If I were to suddenly become single, I'm certain I'm not just going to jump right back in the dating pool. I just want some time with the remote and some football and just I don't want to have to get to know somebody now. I want the bed all to myself. There's a lot of advantages to being alone for a while, and he just shingled. He went from one girl to the other.
There is that phrase. What is it? Serial monogamy. Some people just. They just need to be with someone.
Yeah.
Now, Anderson was raised in Palm Beach. This is the new girlfriend. She was raised in Palm Beach. She's the daughter of the late Harry Loy Anderson, Jr., who became the president of Worth Avenue National Bank. When he was just 26 years old, he became the youngest bank president in U.S. history. Anderson co-founded the Florida. This is the daughter, the new girlfriend. She co-founded the Florida-based charity, the Paradise Fund, in 2005. She's also a model. She's lovely, really beautiful. She also is a board member of the Project Paradise Film Grant. So sort of if there is such a thing, a standard socialite in Palm Beach, and doing many. Yeah. Philanthropic things and looking very beautiful. So
Don's a good-looking guy. I've talked to him, met him a bunch of times. He's thin. I mean, which annoys me to no end. He's definitely taller than me. He's a Trump, right? So you can kind of have your pick of the litter. Again, she's this gal. They're holding hands in public, so clearly they're a thing. She was gorgeous, but
she was at the Republican. What is wrong with me? The
Republican National Convention.
Thank you. She was there. She was in the stands with the family. So I think she's probably been associated with the family for quite some time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good for him, I guess. I mean, he's got kids, right? So that makes it a little bit complicated. But
well, he's got kids, and this is kind of interesting. Kimberly Guilfoyle is she's in her mid-50s, but this young socialite is 37. So there's a chance for more little Trumps, if this, indeed moves on to a more serious relationship.
Wow. So Don went from the cougar to how old is Don Jr.? He was born 1977.
He's 46. He's 46.
46. Okay, so you're kind of in your prime at that point, right? So you could go either way. You go down to 37. You could go up to 55. It doesn't matter. I mean, you got a lot of options. I knew I'd be talking about this.
Boy, I miss 37. That was a great age.
33 was my favorite. Because
oh, really?
Because you could still go out and have fun till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then the next day not really feel anything.
No, yeah.
Yet you're mature enough to not to make the dumb decisions you made when you were 23, right?
Right,
so
right.
A lot going on.
You can afford better clothing. You're not all shopping at Five Below. You can actually you look better.
When did you get married? What age?
I was 28 when I got married. Yeah, and then had started having kids in my early 30s, and so and it's such a blur because my kids are 18 months and 20 months. I have 3 kids, and they're 18 months and 20 months apart. So it's just this big blob of kids.
Yeah,
there weren't phases. I didn't have any time between the kids, so my 30s are sort of a blur.
You're smart though, because when they're that close in age, they could actually occupy each other, right?
Right, that's true.
Yeah, that's what we did.
What are your differences?
20 months. One's 11 and one is 9, and one's a boy, one's a girl, but they get along for the most part.
Yeah.
Incredibly, and they'll play with each other and so on. And we go on vacation. Never
you are absolutely right, though. People with huge gaps when they go on vacation, one kid, if they're not similar in age, if not close in age, it does become very difficult because they don't want to play with each other.
Oh yeah.
So
my sister is 6 years older than me. I barely know the girl. I mean, she. Seriously, she was in high school and I'm in elementary school. We had zero in common. Nothing. She's coming to my kids' Christmas show today, and she's a great gal, but I honestly have no idea who this person is. Hi, Maureen. She's in Jersey, so she's probably not listening to the show, but yeah.
Well, we wish the best to Don Jr. Kimberly Guilfoyle, she is about to go on the adventure of a lifetime. It's going to be my big fat Greek wedding here in a couple years for her. She's going to marry some hunky 25-year-old valet from
Gavin
Greece
Newsom's 2.0, right? Because remember, she was married to Newsom, right?
Oh, God.
Which is weird to think about.
It's so weird. It's so weird to think that she was married to him. That is something that I'm sure she wants to forget. Anyway, we'll have...
Could have been Willie Brown. Could have been worse. Well,
good point. Yeah. Well, we'll continue with more gossip.
Hi, Kamala.
Yeah. more romance gossip coming up. But now it is 7:15. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the 5s. Here is the always fabulous Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. So, Joe, this is a little bit depressing, I have to say, because it looks like Caitlin Clark, who is so great and such a talented athlete and has really resisted sort of this need to bow down to the woke mobs, it looks like she's doing exactly that. She has been, first of all, this is kind of a great story. She's been named Times Athlete of the Year. You on Twitter reacted to that with a boom, which I agree. She definitely deserves that. But it looks like she is now apologizing for what she calls her white privilege. She says that the WNBA is built on black players. She says, I quote, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. The league is kind, has kind of been built on them. And she goes on to say other things, and I just find this a little bit depressing, not entirely surprising. She's young. The pressure on her to bow down to the woke mobs is considerable, but I am disappointed to hear this. What are your thoughts?
It's disappointing because I don't care what your color is when you play a sport, right? Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is a white guy. Patrick Mahomes may eventually overtake him. He is a man of color. I could go on and on in terms of athletes that I've loved over the years. Like Michael Jordan's easily my number one. And I'm talking Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, not whatever version we got with the Wizards when he came back at that point.
Right.
But Look, she was the best player in this league, and she was snubbed from the Olympic team, maybe because of her color. I don't know why, but she should have just accepted the award and just say, I'm going to continue to play hard.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what color you are. Just try your best. Give 110%. And if you work hard, you will succeed. Something like that, I could accept that.
Yeah,
but she went down this woke route instead.
You know,
which is
and
very
honestly, the reason that the WNBA, that anyone is watching right now is because of her. She has driven so much. Okay, Joe, I grew up with a mom and dad who were not into sports. My father is not into sports. Anytime you listen to me try to talk about Commanders football, you will see that I am
Redskins.
not really. I'm trying really hard to come up with some questions. But my dad loves Caitlin. My dad, who again, I did not grow up with a sporty dad. He loves Caitlin Clark, and he started watching the games. So she has driven so much viewership, and now she is. I just get this sense that some slick PR guy said, this is the time. This is the time to sort of recognize the woke mob, that she's been very, I think, skilled at avoiding these things. So I don't understand this sudden change.
Yeah, she had handled, because she got the ever-living crap beaten out of her during the season, by the way. And it wasn't even it's a hard basketball play. No, it wasn't. Like, there were players going out of their way to hurt her, right, on the way to the basket with fouls away from the ball, quite frankly. I don't mean to get too much in the weeds as far as basketball is concerned. But ESPN saw 170% increase in its TV ratings for WNBA games when you compare 2023 with 2024. 170%. And that's due to one player. And you're right. When she played, I'd bring my daughter in, my kid, and we would stop and watch, whether when she was at Iowa or when she went to the WNBA. And these other players should be saying nice things about her, saying, boy, she really has reinvigorated this league. We are more relevant than ever, and we could thank Caitlin Clark for that because she's such a professional and such a pleasure to watch. I don't hear one other player coming forward outside of her teammates saying that, including who's that gal from LSU again?
Is it Angel Reese?
Yeah, Angel Reese, right? Who just couldn't be any more jealous if she tried. I'm sorry. Caitlin Clark, I guess, thinks she's doing the right thing here.
Yeah.
I'd rather you be politically incorrect. I'm not saying you have to insult anybody.
No.
Just reward, just take race out of it and make that your narrative, not whatever
make
this
it
is.
about the sport, about talent, about merit, about winning championships. Make it about the sports. Avoid this kind of baloney. This is going, I believe, this will have a dampening effect on her popularity. It's really too bad. I think she's young. I think the pressure is enormous. But definitely, you said it, Joe. It's a disappointment to see her going down this path. We will have much more right now. It is 7:21 on WMAL. Okay, we can file this next story under ew. The Hill is reporting that Anthony Weiner might be launching an exploratory committee for the New York City Council run. Why can't these people go away, Joe? Why can't they just go away?
I think you mispronounced his name, Julie. Isn't it Carlos Danger? Wasn't that him?
That was him.
That was, it's pretty impressive to come up with that name. And that Huma Abedin, right? That's his ex-wife or girlfriend, is now dating the spawn of Soros, of George Soros, Alex. Yeah, Soros. Yeah, who tried to buy the last election. He's all these pictures with Kamala and goofy Tim Walz, and you're like, wait, this is the guy who's going to run the country, isn't it? So Huma knows how to pick him, doesn't she?
Yeah, for those who were not paying attention back then, 13 years ago, he resigned from Congress because of a sexting scandal. He's a dirtbag. And I just, look, every time you see sort of it's a new day, it's a new chance, I'm going to make myself over into this new guy, right? I always think of the Profumo affair. This was a major scandal in British politics in the 1960s. So John Profumo, if you know this story, he had an extramarital affair with this 19-year-old model who was simultaneously having an affair with the Soviet naval attaché. This was a massive, massive scandal in British politics. It actually led to the resignation of the British Prime Minister. Anyway, but again, it was sort of a sexual affair. It ended up being a major scandal. And Profumo resigned in scandal and shame, and then he dedicated his life to gardening. He totally left public life, okay?
Well,
he was contrite, he was embarrassed, he was shamed, and you never saw him again. Why can't they do this, Joe? I just don't understand. Like, why do we have to see them come back after a 13-year out? Actually, he hasn't been totally gone. We've seen him pop up now and then.
it's not about money with these guys and gals. It's all about, power and relevance, right? I think that's why they don't go away, because they want the attention.
I guess. It's gross.
Danger. Carlos
Danger. It's 7:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37 on a great Wednesday morning. We're doing our best to keep a smile on your face, and we're charging through it. Coming up at 8:35, Stephen Dinan with the Washington Times. He's covering those pesky drones that have been sighted all over New Jersey. Very weird story. It's Julie Gunlock sitting in for the vacationing Larry O'Connor alongside the always hilarious, I'm enjoying this so much, Joe Concha. Good morning, Joe.
Wow. I never get hilarious.
You are hilarious.
Things. But, I won class comedian.
I am not surprised one bit by that. That's perfect.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story around it? 30 seconds?
Sure.
Okay. So when the yearbooks came out in my senior year, I'm playing a baseball game, like a state playoff game for my high school team.
Sure.
And my mom and dad are in the stands. And we were right across the street from the classroom where they produced the yearbooks. So they walked out the yearbooks to the parents, like, during the game. And I'm about to get up. And I see my dad, like, turn right to, like, the back to see what award I won. Right? Most successful, best looking, most athletic. He sees 2 awards that I got. Class comedian and runner-up best party host.
No!
To which they were not aware that I was hosting anything, but they went out a lot. So, So then my dad, points. He goes, best party host? What's that about? So I get up, and first pitch, I get dinked right in the, I was about to say another word, the butt. And he just is smiling, and then after the game he goes, karma. That's what that was.
Yes, exactly.
I'm glad you got hit.
Exactly.
But I scored the game-winning run as a result
I
of
love
it.
that means you're probably very tidy, good at cleaning up after a party. That's a good skill. Good job,
Every bottle
Joe.
cap
That's
was
right.
accounted for.
Well, joining us now is another hilarious person, BYRON YORK, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Good morning, BYRON.
I was actually best party host in that yearbook.
Oh, that's who beat me.
That was
I thought it was Mark
yeah.
Donnelly. That's great.
Well,
How are you, BYRON?
BYRON, you tweeted out a couple days ago that you think Pete Hegseth has sort of turned a corner on Capitol Hill. And there's a lot. It's not just Pete Hegseth. There's a lot of nominees up there sort of doing the charm offensive. But what are your thoughts on Pete Hegseth?
Well, I think he's been kind of leading the way on this. Well, his nomination was in trouble. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. And it was a week ago today, last Wednesday, that he kind of took the reins himself and began to save it. I mean, if you look at the week leading up to last Wednesday, it was just one anonymous allegation after another about this case in California, or lots of talk about his drinking, and he was embarrassingly drunk at this event or that event. And it was all based, literally all based on anonymous sources. And I think what was interesting at the time is Donald Trump was not out there in front defending Pete Hegseth. And I think there was this feeling that if Hegseth really wanted this nomination, he would need to fight for it himself. And his appearance with Megyn Kelly, I think, he did early morning on Wednesday. He taped about an hour interview with her, and it really started turning things around. He started addressing these things himself, and people got a look at him talking about this, not just being a host on Fox, but actually talking about his own story. Really started turning things around. In addition, people who saw that, supported that, got in touch with senators like Joni Ernst, who also started hearing a lot of noise from Iowa, her home state, in support of Hegseth as well. So he's in an infinitely better position today than he was a week ago today.
I couldn't agree more, BYRON, and Donald Trump actually sending out that Truth Social post, and maybe been on Twitter as well, saying that he fully supported Pete Hegseth. I think that really was a big moment as well, because now if you're Ernst, for example, in Iowa, or any Republican who thinks about bucking Trump on this, you're going to get primaried. I mean, that's basically the underlying threat here. But overall, I mean, you're right. This was a media-driven story completely when it comes to Pete's personal life. And I'm on Fox and Friends Weekend on a regular basis. I've gotten to know Pete, know his wife Jen, met his kids, the whole deal. This is a solid person. And the fact that you had people like Brian Stelter, who says, oh, I wrote a book about Fox a couple of years ago, and I just realized I had all this material on Pete Hegseth that I did not put in the book. Like, no, you didn't. I mean, this is obviously something that you've just kind of created out of nowhere. And the fact that he was accused of showing up for a 4-hour morning show. Julie and I are doing a 4-hour morning show on radio right now. Try doing television for 4 hours and doing that, showing up with alcohol in your breath. That never happened.
Right.
I was in that studio 100 times with Pete. No way. And I think because the media is so distrusted, Byron, that's why I think Pete gets over the finish line, because the messenger just is not trusted here. Therefore, any allegations against him, all anonymous, are not going to be taken seriously. And no Republican senator, by the way, has come out and said that they will not support Pete. And I think that's a big thing as well.
That's right. And he turned it around himself. And you mentioned the Trump statement. That came, I believe, on Friday morning after Hegseth had gone out there, told his story, and begun to turn this thing around. Listen, I have not spoken to Donald Trump about this, but I think he wanted to see his nominee fighting for his own nomination.
Yeah.
And then Trump would back him up on that. So that's what's happened. And I think it's kind of a model of other nominations as well, because you're right, no senators come out against Hegseth. Joni Ernst was very dubious for a while, and now she's saying more and more positive things about him, although she has not come out and said, I will vote for Pete Hegseth. But I do think with some of the other nominations, you're going to see maybe a replay of this particular model. But Hegseth first.
Byron, I just want to ask you, we've got just a few seconds left, but I wanted to ask you about these this sort of increasing sort of comments about moving the inauguration up because of the concerns that Joe Biden is. I mean, I need to remind everybody, because I keep forgetting Joe Biden is still president. I know.
He is the president of the United States, yes.
I mean, are these legitimate? Is there any truth to this? Do you think this could actually happen? Because I mean,
no.
Yeah, of course.
Look, a lot of people would like it to happen.
Yes.
And I think heads were turned around the world when Trump went to Paris for the Notre Dame dedication. And he was treated like the president of the United States.
Yes.
He had a meeting with the president of France and the president of Ukraine where he clearly conducted foreign policy at that, because they treated him as the president of the United States. It clearly seems that way here at home. All the energy is coming out of the Trump camp. Joe Biden is basically in hiding or resting up. And it has made a lot of people think, look, boy, it'd be really nice if Trump could become president before January 20th. The problem is, of course, the date January 20th is in the Constitution. It was the 20th Amendment passed in 1933 in the darkest days of the Depression. There used to be a much longer transition. Inauguration Day used to be March 4th. In 1933, they moved it up to January 20th. To change it, you would have to change the Constitution. So Joe Biden is president until January 20th. That's just the way it is.
Byron, thank you so much. Always great to talk to you.
Thanks, Byron.
Thank you, folks.
Got more coming up at 7:45.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, have you noticed that the Democrats like the psychopath in the CEO killing story and the New York City subway death story? 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Well, news out of Hollywood. It looks like the Golden Globes have nominated a male-born performer who identifies as a female, and they've nominated her for Best Actress for a Golden Globe. Carla Sofia Gascon was nominated Monday for Best Performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy for playing a Mexican drug lord who undergoes a gender. First of all, you can't make this up. Okay, there's actually a movie out there about a Mexican drug lord who undergoes a gender transition. It's a movie called Amelia Perez. Can't make this up. Anyway, so and of course they're sort of touting this as Golden Globes history, right, Joe? course.
Yes, to get people to watch, I guess, maybe. I'll make sure I don't now at this point. Look, the whole trans thing blew up in Kamala Harris's face during this election. I mean, you may recall when she ran for president in 2019, she said that she supported U.S. taxpayer dollars for those who want sex changes while in prison and here in this country illegally. Most devastating ad we have ever seen, probably since Willie Horton and any campaign, and Trump exploited that completely. So you want to go down this road? You want to support biological men pummeling biological women in sports like boxing like we saw during the Olympics, or in volleyball or track? I'll tell you this, Julie. My wife ran track at Georgetown, obviously a Division I school. And she's not really a political person. She's got too much going on. She's a doctor. We got kids. We got dogs. We got frogs. We got everything here. And but when she heard about Leah Thomas suddenly going from ranked 538th in the country in swimming to national champ, well, that was a bridge too far. And she's like, you know how hard it is to get to Division I, the commitment you have to make. And imagine I'm about to get in the blocks. I'm about to run the 400 meters, and I see basically somebody who looks like Christian McCaffrey right next to me. I know I'm losing. It's over, right? So that is like a number one issue for her. And suddenly she got very involved and suddenly paid attention to politics. So, yeah, if they want to do this at the Golden Globes, go right ahead. I'm rooting for Amy Adams, who was also nominated for Night Bitch, just because I love the title of the movie.
Yes. Well, I will tell you, there are 5 other women that are nominated in this category. There could have been a 6th, but a man has taken that position. And that is what we see in sports, too. Men taking trophies, men taking medals, men taking positions and scholarships. It is disgusting. It enrages me, and I think you're absolutely right. It wakes up a lot of sort of non-political people to this very important issue. We have more coming up. It is 7:54.